All right. Well, Haiden, winning is great, I would imagine, but to a race like that, how much fun was that from your perspective? You were just in control.
Yeah, 100%. It was funny because I was in the semi before the race. I was telling the guys, I was like, I want to battle. Like, I haven't battled anyone all season. Really. Like, it hasn't. Like, I mean, it's nice to win, but like a good battle makes each of us get better. And I feel like I needed that too if I want to keep excelling at my racecraft as well, going back and forth like that. And I mean, I figured eventually someone was gonna put up a challenge. So it was good. I kind of made a little mistake there in the middle. That red cross, I was so scared to jump. Like, I didn't know whether I was good or not, and I was losing time, and Levi got me, and I just played it by lap, played it smart. And I mean, obviously I have such a huge points lead. I'm not going to be stupid and try and lead a race. So, yeah.
It seemed like you were kind of playing some games out there, and I say that respectfully because it's so good for the fans and for us to witness. At any point, though, does it ever feel like kind of risky? I mean, you do have a considerable points gap, but there is always a risk that things could not go the way you had planned in that situation.
Yeah, I agree. It was getting a little rowdy, but I mean, we were going so slow on that track because it's so rutted that like our running into each other, whenever I would run into him, it was so minor. Like, we were hitting each other so slow. It wasn't much of a, I don't know. There's not too much that could go bad. And I don't know. I just wanted to win. I was like, I want to keep my streak going. I'm not just gonna lose like this. So, but we made it work.
The want to win, I fully believe you there. Well, with a commanding points gap as we go into a break, we're not going to get to see much more of you. We have, of course, Denver and then a few East-West showdowns. How does a points lead like this affect the plans for this break?
Yeah, this was the exact plan, was go race West Coast and get a big points lead. I mean, you guys can literally play back my first press conference. It was the goal, and I mean, I kind of stated what I was going to do. So, just sticking to the plan, get ready, hop on that 450 and just start grinding outdoors. I have huge goals set this year for that. So, just start cranking out those motos and get strong.
Andrew with Moto Now. In the first pass, it kind of looked like you let Kitchen by. Was that the case, and if so, why?
Yeah, I mean, there's just no necessary to really risk getting hit too hard. I was like, he can have it. I'm gonna try and stay latched on, and if I can win the race, then I win the race. If not, I mean, is what it is. I have a big points lead.
Scott Yarger with Moto Now. Was there an intent to kind of go back and forth with him? Was that fun for you, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, I wanted a battle. That was my goal. I was like, I want someone to put up a battle. Like, I hate to say the races get boring because that's kind of like, I mean, I had Ian cocky, so it is what it is. But it was like, they're nice to have a race, where you hole shot and win. That's amazing. But a good battle like that, I feel like makes me better as a rider. I feel like these races where I'm just out there alone, it's nice, but it's not really making me too much better, I'd say. These battles, though, just kind of critique that racecraft.
Could you hear the fans all around the track kind of following you?
Yeah, that was gnarly. Every lap. I mean, we were within a second probably the whole race, so that the fans were just going wild, and obviously it's his hometown, so I was like, unfortunately, I have to beat you in your hometown. I maybe messed up my interview a little, but it is what it is.
So you had a little bit of a gap on Levi at first. Did you get a sense of where he was catching you? And once you got by, did you see any lines that he was doing differently that maybe were a bit faster?
Yeah, I wasn't risking that red cross. I was starting to roll, and I looked back, and I was like, oh, shoot, he's doubling. And by the time I picked up on it, he was already right on me. And I know how that works. When you could taste blood like that, they put a sprint in. So I was like, I'm going to let him have it, and I'm going to try and, stay latched on, and hopefully we can do something at the end of this race.
Haiden, what's better, winning a race running away or a good battle like that?
That one was more exciting. I haven't been that stoked in a long time after a race. I was ecstatic for sure. I even went to do a little emote after, and I just was like, nah. I was like, Levi came up. I'm like, yeah, this one feels good. I'll be a good guy. And yeah, it was fun. That was a good battle. I think that one will go down in the history books for sure. So it was good.
We saw you and Levi talking after. What was said between the two of you?
Yeah, I mean, a good battle like that, it never really got too out of hand, and we went for 15 minutes plus one lap battling, so it was just a good job, really. I mean, that was a dogfight. None of us had it easy.
Adam from Track Talkers. 2 questions. One, what did you mean to say on the podium? Can we get a second shot at that?
Yeah.
And also, you know, that race was one of the most intense races I've ever watched, and it was really cool to see your excitement after the race and actually dab Levi Kitchen up. Can you tell us why you dabbed him up? Because usually it's a little more controversial than that.
Yeah. No, I meant to say there's a new chef in the kitchen. But honestly, no, but listen, honestly, it's fine. It's going to get more views because it's going to get posted everywhere that I said it backwards, so I could care less. Yeah, it don't matter. But, yeah, I actually wanted to do an emote, and he wrote up to me, and I was like, come on, I can't really do this straight to his face. Like, I'm going to be cool. And, but I really did, like, it was my goal at this race, and it was team orders. Like, you got to beat him at his home track. You got to beat him where he thinks he can win. So, it was good. 5 in a row. Thanks.
Okay, Levi, race of the year. Thank you for that. Between the crowd being so loud, I know you talked about maybe not knowing what gear you were in because they were so loud, and everything that was going on track. How did you manage to stay locked in for pretty much the entirety of that one?
I mean, it was definitely tough. You know, I'll probably watch the race back and be mad at myself for some stuff, but yeah, you know, the difference between, you know, riding offensive and riding defensive is hard, and that's where I got caught up. I'd say once I got the lead, I felt like I put in a couple good laps and got a gap, and then started riding defensive when I hit some lappers, and then he was there. So once we started doing the cat and mouse thing, it was like, you know, we weren't really racing forward, but we had to do that, obviously. Like, we were both going similar speeds tonight, so it was fun. But yeah, I would have liked to got that win.
Michael Lindsay from BioMX. Levi, I heard you right after you got off the track, and you admitted that you still thought that rip battle was a blast, and I'm sure fans will watch that. Some will be for it, some will not be for it. Take me through your perspective. Like I said, some people might think it's dirty or not, but you're ultimately the guy in the battle.
Yeah, I was I mean, I haven't spoke to him since. It's been a long time, and, you know, we both shook hands after that one because it was fun. You know, we were pretty clean. You know, there was nothing too bad, and we were doing some cat and mouse things, you know, which was kind of fun. But yeah, I had a blast tonight. I'm sure he did too. So yeah, I mean, overall it was fine. It was good.
Was there any singular moment that the blood boiled at all, or did every single pass was still enjoyable?
No, I don't think there was. Luckily, it was a track slow enough that we were going slow. So, like, if he would have got my front and I would have fell, I'd have been like, good job. And if I would have got his, like, there was nothing that was dirty was going to happen. I did almost land on him on accident on the double-double after where you went by the mechanics. That would have not been good. But other than that, yeah, everything was fine.
Jose Moreno, Seattle Sports Commission. At the end of the race, there was a fun interaction between you two. He stopped, you know, to make sure he greeted you at the end. Tell us what it means to you to know that there is that competitiveness, but also that sportsmanship that is very evident in the magnitude of today.
Yeah, I mean, you know, obviously everybody knows there's been some history, but for me, sportsmanship is, you know, more important than anything. And whether off the track, you know, however things go, you know, when we're with the helmets on and we have a race like that and everything stays remotely clean and we put on a show for the fans, I mean, that's what they pay for. So I'm going to respect him. You know, he's pushing me to another limit, and I'm trying to keep him on his toes, you know, and I think I did that tonight.
Adam from Track Talkers. Levi, when I was watching the race, I feel like there was two big difference makers on the track, and that was that one, the 3-on, and then after, right as you come out of the sand, you had such a good line right there, but it just seemed lap after lap. It was almost like I was trying to tell you, don't hit that line because it was getting blown out. Is there any particular point in the race where you're like, damn, I wish I would have changed that?
Yeah, and it was that 3-on. And it wasn't that I needed to change it. I just needed to sack up and hit it every lap. But, man, when you feel your foot pegs scrape on the face like that onto a 3-on, like, I've crashed, you know, a few times, like in my racing career. And I don't know, it's just like risk over reward, you know. And I started missing that. And he probably only did it 2 more times than me, you know, in the race. But that was enough to you know, it was a lot of time. That 3-on was a lot of time after the whoops. And, yeah, I did feel like I was better on that back spot of the track. I could reel him in, but he nailed that 3-on every time, and that was costly for me. Thanks.
Aaron Hansel with the Racer X. At a certain point, you gapped Deegan a bit, and we're kind of going away from him, and I thought you were going to bring it in. Do you think it was did you get tight at the end, or do you think he turned it up a bit at the end?
No, I don't think any of us really changed much. I missed that whole rhythm that I was just talking about after the sand section. A lapper kind of went from the right, and I'm assuming nobody really expected the line I was doing, doubling across like that. So I had to back out. I went double, 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 lost, like 8/10 or whatever it was, and there goes my whole gap that I had just pushed so hard to get. We were so close that I knew if I could get it up to where I could just ride offensive like I was talking about, then I could be okay. But as soon as you go into defense, you don't know where they're at. You don't know if you're going to get cleaned out in the next turn. So, it's hard to race forward.
Don Maeda, Swap Moto Live. A couple things. Do you think you got him too quick? Could there have been more strategy if you waited because you were going faster? And two, was it a relief to make with no more holes in you today?
I do think I could have waited. I didn't think I could wait, though, because he's been really strong lately. But, yeah, I do think I had a couple areas where I was really good. And it's hard when you're out there in the moment, though. I was bummed at myself just for not executing the first lap because I can't even remember now, but I'm pretty sure I was in third, around the first turn or something. And then I got hung up. He got by, or I don't even know how it worked, but I just felt like I should have been further up earlier. And, man, if I could have just got up there quicker, I feel like I could have maybe broke away. But, he got up around Max, I think, first before any of us. And then, I just tried to catch him after that.
Levi, you did talk a lot about that 3-on, but something I found really impressive was the double over the start straight. Honestly, that's something that entire rhythm lane has given not just your guys' class, but the premier class issues all night. Did you know you had that in the bag before the main? I mean, I felt like you did that so consistently. I was kind of really surprised.
Yeah, I actually, before the main event, I just kind of tried to plan out my race, and I knew that if I could nail that, it would be a lot of time just because the other line was getting so rutted out. And I was, I think, one of the first ones to do it in practice. And I was like, you know what? The team was telling me, hey, I don't think that's the line. But I knew that by the main event, it was going to be the most consistent way for me to 3-3 through that rhythm. And so I just stuck with it.
Adam from Track Talkers.
Yep.
Levi, I think at the end of that race, I was most excited about how well you rode, and I was just thinking about how much confidence you gained from this race in particular. There was so much back and forth. We talked about it all night. What did you learn within yourself, and what are you taking from this event?
Yeah, definitely confidence, and it kind of just builds off last weekend, and then this one, we delivered this show I think people have been waiting for. So I do feel like we're close right now. I feel like we're pretty close in speed, and I think we can give the fans plenty more races like that. So my goal now is just going every weekend knowing that, I feel like we broke away from the rest of the guys pretty far. And, obviously has a massive points lead, but, I want to have more races like that and put it on the top step for Mitch for sure. Thanks.
All right, Max, to be back on this box, how important does this specific race feel?
Yeah, it was needed. Definitely been a rough few weeks, and not feeling the best even now. That was a tough track. Had nothing for those two. Pleased that I was able to come out on top of the rest of the guys, execute the start. But yeah, needed because it's been up and down. I mean, as history goes in this championship, I've looked back. The 250 guys are generally not polished. Obviously, Hayden's been winning a lot, but it's hard to be consistent and be there every week. It's not throughout a lack of trying. So yeah, definitely nice to get the ball back in the court in the right area going into this 5-week break because. Yeah, it'll be nice to have a bit of a reset and go again when we get back rolling again.
Questions from our media?
Adam from Track Talkers. Max, you talked a little bit about inconsistency, and I know that you mentioned sick, but is there anything else that is just hindering you that's not making you able to get on the podium each and every week?
If I knew the answer, I'd have already won these championships multiple times. If I knew the answer to all that, I don't even feel like I'm sick. So that's just that's just a side thing. Like, I literally, after A1, I just couldn't stop coughing. And everyone was like, what's wrong with you? Why are you? And I'm like, no, I'm fine. But I don't know. And then the fumes from last week just done me in. Like, I literally, this week, my chest was hurting. Couldn't breathe properly. I'm like, maybe I'm getting old. I don't know. But hey, that's one thing. Honestly, to be perfectly honest, I think the last few weeks, the focus has been taken off of what it needs to be. And for me, focus on myself, being happy, playing with my boy in between the races, having a good time. That makes me perform and ride free. I had my routine, through the off season and through A1 and even San Diego. And then things got a little wild. But also, the expectation is there. And I get to ride with Haiden in a week, right? And he's unreal. Like, I can't there's no two ways about it. Like, he's fast as hell. He's solid. So then I've been thinking, right, I need to be perfect I need to get a whole shot. I need to be in front. I need to execute. I need to be perfect to have a chance. But then I've been overcooking it. Like, that's a recipe for I've been screwing the starts up because I've been overcomplicating it. Yeah. Even with the bike, like I've been searching for 1% here I think we should go this or this, and I'm like going around in circles. Like, hold on. So it's taken me a couple of weeks, and I know I'd figure it out. It's it means a lot. This championship means a lot. I want to win the championship, but essentially, you can't do that by doing that. You've got to focus on yourself and focus on what worked. And at the end of the day, I'm riding with a guy who's obviously unreal on a bike. There's a reason for that. And Levi is ripping tonight. I had nothing for him. Yeah. But I've got to maximize the days and be on the box. Like, the last few weeks, it would have been nice to just be on the box instead of screwing them up and being down or getting bad starts. But hey, it's not through lack of trying. Like I said, if I knew the answers, I would have already won this thing a million times and been out of here. But hey, I'm still trying to figure it out. And all I know is that I had to refocus, get my focus back to where it needed to be. Okay, it took me a couple of weeks longer than we liked, but hey, it's a tough sport, hard to do. So figuring it out.
Aaron Hansel with Racer X. I know you're happy to be back in the box on a track like today that was extremely tricky. Is it extra at all? Does it feel extra good to survive a track like this and be on the box?
Yeah. Yes and no. I mean, just of course, when you win a race like A1, and then you're still in the back of your mind each week. You're like, man, all right, I'm in this thing. Had the red plate for a week, and then it's like, all right, gotta try and figure it out and perform. Today, yeah, all right, I would have I'd like to have been a bit faster. Those two were ripping, but I couldn't bring myself to risk it that much. That was very, very tricky, and I managed the race as best as I could and ended up third. That was all I had tonight. It was needed. It was kind of what it's what I'm here to do. So I kind of feel like I just did my job. And going into this next break, I will continue to work on those areas and have a bit of fun on outdoors, because I haven't ridden outdoors in a long time, and I really want to put my best foot forward for that. Going into it, I have a good shot now with Star on this 250. I haven't had a proper go at outdoors, so I would like to maximize my outdoor prep and have a few week break.
Scott Yargel, Moto Now. Race 3 in Houston and tonight, it doesn't seem like you put up like much of a fight when Deegan tries to pass you for the lead. Is that intentional? Why?
He's going fast. What am I going to do? Try and like that. There's at the end of the day to be Moto 3 in Houston. Let me remember. He was he was going fast, and I was bolted on there at the end. Felt pretty good. Tonight, it was they just had me going through that rhythm early on, both of them, Levi and Haiden, and yeah, there's a time and a place. I'm not just going to go and start teeing people up for no reason early in the race, because that'll screw my race up. I've got to. If I was in the race last few laps, then fair enough. All gloves are off. We'll go and do a race. But the boys were half a lap in front, so at that time, it was my thinking was more along the lines of, right, I need to follow, try and pick up some lines, figure out that rhythm, gap everyone else, so that at least I can be on the box and try and stay with those guys. But that didn't last too long. So yeah, it just kind of goes, that's haven't felt like at the minute. I mean, I know obviously everyone goes on about the San Diego thing, but even that was my thinking there too. It was like, man, he's faster, right? I need to watch this. I'm a bit smarter in where I, pull out the way now. But in that situation, basically, I'm not. They're fast. The boys are ripping. Like, there's no point in me doing that right then. I had everyone else to worry about, and I needed to still figure out lines and try and learn. It was too early in the race to try and do anything stupid.
Thank you, Max.
No worries.
All right, Eli, congratulations. The redemption, if we can compare and contrast, take us back to earlier in the day. How much pressure or tension was there on your shoulders, if any?
Yeah, I didn't have the greatest practice, but I still, was a little better in my second one, I should say. Like my first practice, I didn't get a good lap until in like maybe the second or maybe even last lap. So I was kind of, struggling a little bit. But at the same time, I was watching the other guys, and basically everyone was making mistakes, and there was nothing easy about anything about this place. There never really is. So made some small adjustments, but nothing too crazy. And that's that. So, and other than that, you gotta tackle this place and do your best to conquer it. And one place I was definitely lacking was like a triple onto the tabletop. I didn't do that to the main, but thankfully I was able to do that. So yeah, there was some like catching up to do, but at the same time, like watching everyone and just knowing how tough the main events are, I didn't let it get me down at all.
Adam from Track Talkers. Eli, I don't know if it surprised you, but it surprised me. Cooper Webb gets out front, right? And then he actually kind of puts a lead down, right? And I felt like that was very surprising to me, especially in those opening laps. What was going through your mind strategically and just mentally in general of like, okay, Cooper Webb's out front right now. He's kind of pulling away. He's putting down some good laps. What did Eli have to do to either come away with that win, or was there a point where you were even satisfied with only a podium?
So yeah, he had really good sprint laps in the beginning, but at the same time, I knew, of course, it's a long race, and then I noticed I was making good time in the whoops, and then once I was able to get the triple on the table, I'm like, okay, I can run with him, and then of course it was just kind of like this battle between who's not going to miss a rhythm section or that triple on the tabletop, who can get to the whoops a little bit cleaner, but yeah, Cooper did open up with some good laps there.
Michael Lindsay of LMX. Eli, 2 track-related questions for you. I heard you actually joking with your team about this right after the finish, but the rhythm, I think it was before the finish line, you were actually going roll in, and I thought that was induced by lappers at one point, and I was very surprised at basically how the rhythms broke down.
So I was saving that for in the main event. I looked at it today, and after seeing everyone enter like with a double, it's just sometimes there's so much room in those bull turns, you don't think of those things, but you can actually go inside and you can start with a roll. And that's what happened is I was like, okay, I've had enough of this basically stress and this rhythm, hitting it so perfect, because if you hang it all and then go up the next ramp of a rutted or just the next rutted ramp, right? And then they get these hooks in them. If you unload your suspension wrong, that's when things, can turn bad. So that inside line just got me off all the ruts into the opposite line. So that was key for me. Like, it allowed me to kind of breathe and take a breath just somewhere on the track.
And then the second part of that is the rhythm lane before that. That long rhythm just seemed to give everybody so many fits all day. And, I mean, if it wasn't so tricky, what was the theoretical line that you were hoping to put together in there? And, I mean, run me through that one, because I felt like that one just really fell apart for most of the guys throughout the day, the way you guys had changed that up.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that the first practice, it was kind of just the inside, and then we were jumping across the start and entering that way. And that was a pretty technical way to go through that rhythm. And then, you know, of course, looking at it, we're like, well, why not try the outside, getting across the flat and then going triple in. So I felt like that was going to be the main event line, or the easier line throughout the day. But of course it was technical, but that was one of the most technical rhythm sections I think we've ever had in Supercross, to where there was all these different combinations, ways to miss it or make it right. It was giving everyone kind of a headache all day.
Aaron Hantz with Racer X. I think with, I don't know, 8 or 9 minutes to go, there was a point when all three of you guys, you and Roxon and Webb, were starting to bunch up a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I'm wondering if there was ever a point in your mind where you started to think about, am I going to do defense or offense here, or was it just focus forward the whole time?
Well, when I was in front, it was just focus forward and really focus on getting that triple on in the tabletop. Like, that was a big spot to make good ground for me. Of course, I made my pass there, but it was just, if you missed it, it's like, that's a lot of time. You know, it was, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of a second or something. But yeah, there was some tough lappers too. There were some tough lapper situations in there. That's how it goes, and it's the way this place is. It's hard to get away, and it gets tight, and you're just like, man, I just gotta get these rhythm sections.
Scott, you're Arjo Moto now. This is the first rutted, really soft track conditions we've seen this year. Is there anything that you learned from the bike that you didn't know before?
Yeah, I mean, it just, of course, you know, it's polar opposite of last week, and you know, we did some small adjustments, nothing too crazy, but happy overall. You know, this is as bad as it gets, because you can still do the rhythm sections, but there's some scary ruts out there. So, of course, I was happy with what we were working with in the main.
Eli, at the beginning of the year, you definitely seemed like you had a huge smile on your face, and you were very happy to win the race. I mean, I don't know if I'm reading you wrong, but it doesn't seem like you're the happiest to get this overall. Where's your mind at right now?
It's just, you know, the typical mid-season stuff, and I don't have the red plate, so I'm not happy about that. And I had a couple tough weekends, so it was frustrating. And that's probably it. Is just, you know, mid-season, it's game time. And of course, I want to have fun. I want to smile, but at the same time, it's like I just lost the red plate. Was having a couple tough races. Like, I really don't want to have something happen again. So it's just it's game time.
Yeah, you mentioned the past couple of weekends haven't gone your way. We've seen that kind of 2 bad crashes last week. You were slow to get up. Is there any lingering aches and pains that you're dealing with?
No, I was able to recover pretty well. So last week, after having the second crash, it took me a while to get going. Kind of just, I was like, I don't want to throw it away again by any means. I hit the ground pretty hard, was pretty beat up, so it took me a couple laps to get going. Kind of tweaked my leg a little bit, so I wasn't able to squeeze like totally right. But other than that, I'm fine now. Everything's all right. Yep.
Ian, congratulations to you and the team. We, of course, know, all of us in this room and all the fans should know that Eli can win on any given night. But were there any indicators early in the day where you looked at Eli, you heard something from him and believed tonight's going to be the night?
No. With the track this tough, I just walked around there a little bit after that race, and to see the ruts and stuff, I'm just a fan of what they can do. And yeah, so you never know. Like, a start is important and super important, because in these rutted tracks, you pretty much have to really choose your lines. And as the ruts change, you got to kind of move, and everyone's taking the same one. So it's difficult to pass. I felt like that was key for him tonight, but it can go either way. So I'm really grateful we won tonight.
Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. Ian, The other good news you guys had this morning is Jorge Prado again was #1 qualifier, but of course that ended with a crash in time qualifying. We thought he was lining up for the night show. I know personally a few of us in media checked in with the members of the team prior to the race, and it didn't seem like Jorge's condition was, suspect, but ultimately he ended up pulling out. Can you update us a little bit on his condition, and was it one of those things where he thought everything was good, and then as soon as we get on the bike, it just wasn't there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Jorge crashed in practice there, and at first, like anything, you always feel the stinger. You're worried. He has had an injury on that shoulder before, so we had it checked out in the medical center, and everything looked okay, other than swelling and aches and pains. But on a track like tonight, you have to have everything working properly. So we asked him to give it a try, see how it went. But I said if he didn't feel like he was up to it, or if it wasn't going to be safe, then we're not in a title fight with him. He's doing an amazing job so far this season, getting better each week. So that was his option, and he decided he'll have it checked out again and maybe get some therapy on it, and I'm sure he'll be back next week. But there doesn't look like there's any major injury.
Adam from Track Talkers. Ian, at the beginning of the day, it kind of seemed like Eli was, I don't want to say struggling because he's not struggling, but he was making some weird mistakes on his hot laps, right, in practice. And then as the heat race came on, it looked like he got a little better. And then in the main event, he put it all together. Could you take us through kind of what the team did to get Eli comfortable and just take us throughout the day of that evolution?
Yeah, you're right. In the beginning, it was tough to put consecutive laps in. But each time he came off the track, he gave us a good indication of what he wanted to do, and what he was saying and what we could see from the data on our bike. It seemed to all line up, so we just followed his direction, and I think he really set up his bike good for the main event. He did a good job. He was able to turn really tight, shorten up the track, and still fast, and then handle those rutted jumps and everything. So I feel like he did a great job for us. But a lot of the direction came from him tonight.
Jose Moreno, Seattle Sports Commission, you mentioned Jorge's injury and concern and the fact that you guys were open to allowing him to make the call. How important is it for you guys and how easy is it for you to communicate that to a competitor, somebody who's trying to make an impact within your group?
In his case, it was easier. If you're fighting for the championship, or then it's tough. You have to deal with it. You got to suck it up and go. But he's not in that position right now. This was his 12th Supercross in his career, so there's no reward in having him crash again and really get hurt. So that's how we looked at it tonight.
Don Maeda, Swap Moto. I came up to check on Jorge, and I talked to Frankie. Mm-hmm. And you guys have two new guys, right? And so what Frankie said was, we're still getting to know Jorge, see how, gritty he is or serious about his injuries or whatnot. We're still learning a lot of things. So what have you learned about each of your new guys, Eli and Jorge?
Well, so far, I'm so grateful for what they've done so far. Eli's been absolutely amazing during testing these races, way better than what I thought. I think I've mentioned this before. If you'd asked me 5 years ago to hire a guy who's 33, I would have told you you're crazy. But he's proving me wrong. And then Jorge is, Frankie's right. He's new to our team. We got to learn how he operates and what he does. But I think he's a very, very talented rider. I think he's figuring out a lot of things. I think he's on that same trajectory as what Ken Roxon was years ago. So I think his potential is really, really high. Thank you.
Cooper, the speed, the start, and the grit that is your signature. What do you take away from this one, also knowing that this was a track in conditions that was hard for so many of your competitors to be perfect on?
I'm taking hopefully some positives. Got a first whole shot of the year, which is nice. We've been working on some starts this week, so that's obviously good signs of things. And I led some laps, led about half the main event, so I'll take some positives there. That was my first laps led, but overall a little bummed. Felt like I should have won tonight and didn't. Just made a lot of mistakes, and that led to some arm pump, and then just couldn't ever capitalize. So a little bummed at myself, but overall we'll take the good points.
Michael Lindsay from BioMX. Cooper, we're still in that weird early point of the season. We're not halfway there yet. I don't know always how riders, weigh the results. Eli was just up here, and even with the win, he didn't seem super overjoyed. In your case, there's a few things to weigh out. Yes, you didn't get the win tonight after leading, but you still made ground technically on the points lead. So once you have a minute to get off the track, I know right afterwards you want to win, but how do you reflect on a night tonight when you look at the positives and negatives where we had emotionally this point of the season?
It's like he said, it's still early to really think, in my opinion, about championship. But obviously, anytime you can gain points, that's a good night. That's in the back of your mind. But for me overall, yeah, I'm still just a little bit bummed. Like I said, I felt so good at the beginning of the race, and then just couldn't execute the midpoint and the end of it. And I think the whoops were clearly an issue that I was struggling with, and I should have made an adjustment, and I didn't. And so that's a little bit on me, like I said. So it's like anything. You wanna win these races, especially I felt, like I said, I pulled the whole shot, led about half. That should have been a win, but is Eli Tomac, and he's a bad dude. But we'll take the second place and keep chugging away.
Adam from Track Talkers. Cooper, you got out front, and I think I was actually really surprised on how good you were in those first laps. Was that intentional, something you knew before the race? Hey, if I get the whole shot, I want to try to sprint, put these laps down, try to get a gap, and manage from there. And then also talk about, was that kind of part of why you got arm pump in the middle of that race, or was it more just because the guys were creeping up on you?
We've been working on the intensity off season, so that was cool to apply that, right? Like the beginning of my races in the past years, sometimes I'm a little lackadaisical, so I was pumped on that. I think, yeah, obviously when you start getting caught, you're a little bit like, oh, where am I losing? Where am I losing? I felt like I was losing it in the whoops, and then once Eli got me, I realized like how big that jumping that 3 on to the tabletop after the whoops actually was. Like if you didn't do that, it was big time loss. So then you start thinking about that, and you almost, at a certain point, it was like the track changed a lot too. Like it got to where just jumping the rhythms got hard, but then that was the one that, like in my head, I had to do if I wanted to stay with them. So you miss that a few times, and then you try harder on other spots, and that leads to sometimes just, like you said, overriding, kind of tightening up, so on and so forth. But it's part of it. It's we all deal with it at a certain degree. It's no excuse. You still got to go out and execute.
Jose Moreno with the Seattle Sports Commission. Winning is difficult. Winning consistently is even harder. How do you find it within yourself to understand some of those deficiencies that you find yourself under today, and not see those as turning points towards negative, but turning points towards positives?
That's an interesting question. I guess just, I'm a champ for a reason, so I've always stayed in it, stay consistent, believe in myself, and like I said, I'm bummed at the moment, but I'm sure, like I said, by tomorrow morning I'll be fired up for a good week and going to Arlington, which is a great spot for me.
You said you've been working on some start stuff, and I know the hydraulic clutch is an issue for people. Can you talk about which system you're on right now? Which hydraulic system?
I don't know if I'm supposed to or not. I really don't know. I've been getting yelled at all month, so I don't know if I should say much anything else. But I am on a hydraulic clutch, I can tell you that much. So yeah, we have been doing some start stuff though, more with the mapping stuff, and we have a guy that used to work at Honda, and I think he helped us get the Honda map. I would say is all I can say.
What is it about Seattle, back-to-back wins and now second place? What's up with the 12s here?
Yeah, 12s. It's just, I guess the track obviously kind of getting gnarly and super difficult tends to be good for me when the track breaks down. So, just kind of that. And overall, it ain't anything special. Like, I don't come here, like, thinking any differently. But obviously, it's good to come to a place you gel, and have good results is always nice. Yeah.
Okay, Justin Cooper, I've been watching you all season, and it doesn't seem like there's been a lack of speed, but to now have a result back that up, what's that like?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to my position on the first laps. I've been constantly getting better. I feel like to start the season, we were kind of blindsided and just not getting off the gate right. So put a lot of work in there, and just it's important with this field right now to be up front and in the battle right away, so you can kind of latch on, or else you get kind of left behind in no man's land. So the starts have been better. Just the track was really tough tonight. Had to be consistent, and obviously got a little bit of a gift at the end, but we'll take those gifts for sure.
Adam from Track Talkers. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard this through the grapevine. We talked about Cooper riding the 25, and you are on the 26. How hard has it been to develop that bike, essentially on your own, and figure this thing out to get to this point? And this weekend, did we find something special? Was there something during the week that was tested that was a little bit better that was able to get you up here?
No, I think we were searching a little bit there, rounds 2, 3, 4 maybe, but riding's been really awesome. That's not really been the problem. Just honestly, the starts have been the problem. And I think through the first 4 rounds, my average first lap was like 14th, 15th. So yeah, that's not going to get it done. So I had a really good first 2 rounds. I actually got 6th from way back, like 15th. So those were good rides, obviously. I just need to be up front in this class. Especially me, not going to come from the back and, get up to the podium spots. So, the starts have been way better, and my heat races have actually been improving, so that helps the gate pick, and, all upwards from there.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This is the first 450 podium, correct?
First 450 podium? This is like
Supercross.
my 10th.
For Supercross?
15th. It's got to be like 6, 7.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, I podium the last 3, so we're first one of the year. Yeah. It feels good. The class is really stacked right now, so a lot of competition, and especially on a track like this, to get it done is these are scary, but one of my favorite kind of track. Like this and Indy are really similar, I feel like, and I feel like the main part of these races is just sticking to hitting your marks, hitting your rhythms, and not really shying away from that. So it's a long 20 minutes, and a lot of focus is involved.
Adam from Track Talkers. I was watching you on the track very, very closely, and I think one of the cool things that I seen that you were doing that was a little different from this week was the way you kind of made a move on Sexton and the way you were making moves in that sand section. It seemed very, very aggressive and just like to the point. How were you able to achieve that, and what gave you the confidence? Was it just seeing the number 4 and knowing that you were faster than him, or what was the difference tonight?
Yeah, I just honestly, after the whoops, I went 3 on, he didn't, and really just kind of set up my pass from there, squared him up, and then dove to the inside. But I made a few good passes, I think there. I think I don't remember where I got Hunter, but we were going back and forth a little bit, and honestly, just start thinking about the track too much, start looking at it too much. The ruts got really, really tricky, and you took the wrong one, it could kind of pitch you wrong. So from there, just felt like I was knocking off consistent laps, but obviously once those 2 got together, I made a dash for the finish, and it feels really good to get really back on the box this early in the season, and look forward to the East Coast swing coming up.
Michael Lindsay from Vital MX. Justin Cooper, I believe there's been some talk that this is possibly a contract year for you. You've been in the 450 class now multiple years. You have a very established championship winning teammate over here. You have a youth coming into the team. Basically what I'm asking is, where do you feel like you're at pressure situation-wise, where you've been your 450 career so far? Is this maybe the most under the gun you've been to step up, perform, and to continue to progress?
I put a lot of pressure on myself. So as far as my 450 contracts go, I've been on a 1-year deal since I started, and never have really felt pressure. I feel like if I am doing my job, I'll get a ride. So I don't want to, walk into anything easy, and I feel like I want to earn my spot on the team. So, my next one, I would like to maybe have a couple more years, and maybe not a 1 year, but everything's working really good right now with the team, and everything's clicking. I feel like we're in a really good spot, and I feel like we have been all year. Just things keep improving. So, not much more to say about that.
Scott Yaramoto now. It seems like the whoops, especially in days where, maybe not tonight, but in days where you kind of are forced to blitz them, are still a little bit of a weakness to you. Is that something you're actively working on?
Yeah, I feel really good at the practice track, but the race conditions are obviously different. So still learning there. I feel like growing up, I didn't really get to, ride much Supercross. So that's, I feel like hindered me in the whoops there, but better to learn now than never, right? So, yeah, tonight was really tricky. They were really beat up, and a lot of guys were using the jump line, but as far as blitzing, it's gotten a lot better, and we're continuing to improve there.